Greetings and salutations. What's going on, IRL Nation? Back again with another episode. Woo! Man, I don't know about you guys, but just participating in history is getting to be it's a fun time to be human. We'll just leave it at that. It's a fun time to be human. But that's neither here nor there. Today's episode is we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that really vexes me. It really gets under my skin. Things that really make me think hard. Also got a fun question for you guys for today as well. Let's just go ahead and get into it then, guys.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Yeah. What's going on? So, today's episode, first topic. This thing that I'm about to talk about with you guys really, I think about this probably, it's in the top 3 thoughts that I think about all the time. When it pops in my head, I get stuck and I think about it a lot. So, can't wait for you guys to get locked in and share it with you guys. So, what is it? Well, for me, it doesn't really have a name. I mean, it has a name. You can describe it in different ways, but what I'm trying to convey often really doesn't come across. So I call it these 3 things combined. Okay. It is the combination of polarity, balance, and duality. What are these things even, contemplating? Well, in my life and the experiences that I've had, and I can see this in almost every facet of human existence, really, there is a force. Yep, you can call it the force if you want to. There is this thing that really keeps things fair, even, balanced. There's a force out here that is really, I don't want. It's not really important, but it's out here. It's almost like a law of nature that we don't even really talk about. So what I think of when I think of the word polarity, it is immediately to the poles, right? The North and South Pole of Earth, which is kind of a really good entry example of what I'm trying to talk about. We have these 2 things, these forces, literally trying to draw the other half in while simultaneously pushing the other half away, right? There's these magnetic forces, there's these things that draw in and also repel in a way that keeps our planet whole, right? We have this ball swirling in the universe that is being held together by this force, this duality, this balance, right? The polarity of life, the balance of life, the duality of life is something that we as human beings have an opportunity to dissect and examine. We're not just a participant in this force of nature. We have the ability to influence it as well because we can recognize it. It is my belief that this force, this polarity, this balance requires 2 halves to exist. So one extreme versus the other extreme. We can call it good and evil too in life if you want as well. Positive and negative. There must be a way to create that middle ground, right? That balance point that we human beings can often feel, right? Some people feel lucky, some people feel unlucky, some people get the best luck in the world while others get the short end of the stick more often. But when you really try to sit down and examine that aspect of reality, that aspect of life, you can kind of see that humanity's got a kind of a cool little spot here on Earth. I know for a fact that if I were to, let's say, eat something spicy, there's balance that's going to come from this. I will enjoy the heck out of some spice. Absolutely. I love my spicy buffalo wings. I love spice. It's fantastic. Now, that being said, to create said spice, it takes certain chemicals, it takes certain ingredients, it takes certain things that when put into the human body, there will be a price to pay for it. Oftentimes spent more time in the bathroom. But it's there. Another example. Let's go back to this good and evil thing. There exists for us humans the power to overcome adversity, the ability to succeed where others did not. For your life, for our life, for life itself, there exists this weird little frame, this thin line where it apexes between all of our choices, the nexus, which is really what we are of reality. For each of us individually, the perspectives that we have, there comes this unknowing but knowing feeling. When you look at the balance of, let's say you got dealt, you were raised poor, you got to school, and your environment really isn't the best. Logic dictates that you work hard, you build yourself up, you do the things the other people around you aren't doing, and you'll attain the results the other people around you aren't getting. Why? Because of balance, because of polarity, because both halves of these things need to exist. I feel like I'm talking about two different concepts, so I'm gonna try and break these two things up even more here. We'll call it the physical duality, the physical polarity, the abilities that we tangibly have that can affect us all, right? The choices that we make to sleep or not to sleep, to study or not to study, to commit our energy and our actual time to some activity, right? The balance of life in that means, let's say you choose not to go to the nightclub or party hard in your 20s, or you were a bookworm. You tried to stay in the house studying and becoming more, right? There are two different outcomes that come to those choices, right? The party people get to live a certain specific lifestyle. They get to, I'll call it plateau, early in life, where they use their talents, their abilities, their physical nature to just have that fun, right? But while you're making the choice to have said fun, you are taking the time away from really your future. You're kind of spending your future early there. Now, that being said, there's always the ability to come back and work harder, make different choices in your life, and to attain different results. But you'll never, ever, ever get to the point of life if you had chosen, let's say, when you were coming out of high school to go to college, to go to career, to go to this, to go to that, as opposed to partying through high school, partying through college, and now you're trying to figure out your career. Like there's different levels, right? You kind of bet against the investment there, which, hey, that's a way of life. That's how we all can live. Now, taking that physical nature, the duality of that, those choices that we have, let's translate it to the ethereal, the ethos, the stuff that affects us, but we don't necessarily have control over. This, I believe, is where the most dynamic changes happen to humanity. Like myself, I had a very difficult upbringing. There were many times when I thought I wasn't going to live, when I tried not to live, when you get dealt a hand, right? You get to have these circumstances that set you up, as opposed to being, just being born into a rich family or whatever, right? People get born into the situation. Now, when you start off in that kind of situation where your environment is kind of dictating your choices, it becomes about consistency, the balance of a thing. If I spend my first 25 years of my life doing everything that I can to get out of my situation that I was born into, chances are you're going to get out of that situation. Why? Because you put in the work. The effort was there. But you paid your tab early. You chose to create your future outside of a situation that you were born into. That is power. That is what I believe is humanity's sixth sense, so to speak. Because some people make the effort worth it. Some people choose to come out of nothing and become something. Others are born into everything and become nothing, right? It's that principle that we can see in all levels of life, microscopic to the macroscopic. It is there, that principle of balance, both things needing to exist, right? And there's a little more depth to it for me. There's a little more that goes into it. Because part of what I believe as well about this is that both things, good and evil, must exist for the other to exist. You cannot have good without evil. You cannot have positive without negative. Otherwise, the things just won't exist because you have nothing to compare it to. It wouldn't be something that would be tangible, wouldn't be something that would be influential, wouldn't be something that truly is part of reality, because it wouldn't be something on your radar. So when I think about both halves needing to exist and just there being this cosmic balance on all scales, you realize that these principles are transmutable. They are like they can take the place in any sort of situation of life, right? Like let's talk about in science. There are certain chemicals, certain agents, certain materials that interact with each other and are phenomenal together. When they're combined, they multiply and magnify and can create other substances or other materials that are far stronger, far superior than these two things all by themselves. Same can be said about the negative components. When you have diffusion and fission and those types of things where taking away something also creates more balance or also upsets a balance to where equilibrium can happen, right? You can see it. It's measurable. It's tangible, that principle. And it can be very specific. It actually is sometimes specificity is extremely necessary. So let's say look at it for math. The whole what you do to one side, you got to do to the other, right? You put in work, you put in the equation, and you get the result. And it is always the specific result of the equation that you put in. If you mess up on the equation, the answer is going to be wrong. And if you get an answer that's wrong, you know you messed up in the equation. Like there's things about life in this balance, in this duality, that we as human beings can tap into, can realize, can see, or play with once we really get a handle on it. As you can see, this is one of those unique topics. It is more of a shower thought for you, but it speaks to a, I don't know, it's, for me it speaks to a human nature thing. We want better, we want more, we want to explore, we thrive for adventure. And when we realize that it's attainable, we put a plan together. Go on a trip, going on that adventure. It takes, time. It takes skill. It takes stuff. You gotta be able to plan something, right? And so when you look at it through the lens of life, through the lens of mental health, through the lens of physical health, the duality, the balance can be attained. And it can be so specific that one little gram, one little millisecond, one thing that you might think is minuscule, that's not important, that's benign, that's so insignificant to yourself, that you think is so insignificant, that if you were just to remove it or add it, the entire balance of life can change drastically. And that's my little tangent for you guys today. The whole polarity, balance, duality of life. It is a principle that I wholeheartedly think there is more science to be had around it, but I don't have a way to conduct that science because I'm not that intelligent. So that's my quick little hitter for you guys. I hope you guys think about it like I think about it all the time. Maybe you find a gem in there somewhere where you can see the duality. Maybe you picked up on what I'm putting down. Who knows? But let's talk about our next topic. This one's kind of a one of those. It's kind of spicy. It's kind of pointed, but it's important, and it goes into what we just talked about. So the question is, what is freedom? And I do mean freedom, like not free nation or, laws and that. I'm talking about freedom. The concept of freedom. What is it? What is freedom? I mean, we can look up the definition if you want, but a definition is made up. It was defined by someone who tried to label it as such. Just like all rules. I hope you guys understand all rules were made up at some point. Fun little fact. But freedom. What is it to be free? I think one of the first things about freedom is choice. The ability to make the choice to go left or right. To say yes or no. To consume or not consume. You have choice. The concept of choice is most definitely, I think, part of freedom. But then I also think about just life in general. You think about a tree. That thing is there forever. Is a tree free? I mean, maybe. I don't understand how a tree could be free. It's stationary. It goes through life in one specific spot. But at the same time, A tree lives way longer than humans. They have way more going on in them than maybe humans could ever handle. So maybe they have better freedom, right? That's what I mean about the concept of freedom. Who's to say what it really is? And who's to say what we have now is freedom? I don't feel free. I really don't. I feel that I have to live a certain way for society, like to be civil. There's certain aspects of my life that I have to conform around an idea so that the rest of my species doesn't hate me or I fit in some way, or I can still have access to other choices that I may or may not have had. So is that freedom? Is that part of it? The ability to give up choice? I don't know. Freedom seems to be one of those alluring things that all creatures really want, but we don't really seem to know quite what it means or how the definition of freedom kind of limits us, right? Once we put a label on it, once we start putting things in boxes, we kind of have to play by specific rules. So maybe it's time to re-examine a lot of what we say and do in society. Maybe it's time to let go a little bit more, to not say yes because of societal expectations, to just change how we do things. Because if the point of freedom is choice and the ability to make different choices, at some point, the accountability falls back into our hands. We are responsible for that choice no matter what. So if we're responsible and we will be held accountable on this whole cosmic scale thing, wouldn't it be better to make choices that feel right? Now, you do use the term feel because human beings have the 5 senses that are defined. I believe human beings have way more senses than that, but the 5 senses, sight, smell, taste, touch, hear. And we kind of define things around those senses, and then we all kind of just agree that reality is what we say it is based on those 5 senses. But what if we understood there were more senses in our body, like thought or kindness, or I don't know, like there's way more senses than you think. And science is kind of starting to catch up with it, but it's really hard to come up with stuff that we can, I don't want to say come up with stuff. It's really hard to escape definitions, right? It's really hard to break out of those molds because they're familiar. And also by breaking out of them, you go into unknown territory, unexplored regions. The unknown is vast. We have no idea what we don't know. And we're constantly being proven every single day, every single minute that we don't know much when it comes to life, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to anything, right? We are so, I don't want to say insignificant on the cosmic scale, but it's that, right? We live for such a short time to come through eras and try and translate different words, different meanings, different habits, different tactics, different societal expectations. Like we evolve throughout all of this. And so freedom is part of that, right? You have a nation, like take the Roman Empire, for example. Roman Empire changed a lot because they thought they could, and they did. Until what they understood was changed, evolved, something better came about. And now we have that same kind of point, right, in history where technology is advanced, we're messing around with AI, and we're coming up with new tools and chips and brains and electric cars and jetpacks, and we're doing it, right? We're changing how humanity exists on this planet, how life exists on this planet. We're quite literally changing weather on this planet and ecosystems and things like that as humanity. So we kind of gotta reevaluate what constitutes that freedom, right? I think freedom should be earned. Also, like I really do think that if you have society earning freedom, earning choice, you kind of value it more, right? For me, as growing up, if I had to do it myself, I valued it way more than if it was done for me. Food that I cook tastes way better than food that I don't cook, and there's something there to be said about that magic that happens in that choice, in that ability. And so freedom really for me is that. And I love freedom. Can't wait to make more choices. Can't wait to exist in this world with you guys doing in real stuff, because freedom is right now. You can do it right now. Make a different choice. Do something else. Say yes, say no. Buy the book. Read the book. Don't read the book. Play the game. Don't play the game. Say hello to that person. Ignore that person. Right now, you can make a choice, which means you have freedom. Take advantage of it. Abuse it. It's yours. Do what you want with it. Because guess what? The person next to you also has freedom, and they're going to do what's best for their life. They're going to do what they want. And at some point, we'll figure out how to coexist. At some point, we'll figure out how to make it work for everybody. But in the meantime, don't neglect yourself. Freedom is free. It really is. Yeah, we might have to, play some laws around it, only because some crazy people in the world want to take advantage of it. But it is free. It exists right now. Take advantage of it. And last but not least, we got the question of the day. Okay, I love these. Q&A time. Q&A time, people. Let's do it. Here's your mind bender. Think about this one in the shower if you haven't already. I'm also going to give you guys my answer again because I love the bonus features. But here is your question for the day. If you were president of the United States, what would you change on day one? Okay, your POTUS. Got your speech all done, inaugural, you're good, you're in the house. Day one, first 24 hours, what are you doing? I'm telling you what I'm doing. I had this thought the other day because all the craziness that's happening around the whole election thing, the people that are in it, the circus that is our government right now. Oh, makes me think. This is why I had to stop. So, if I were POTUS, I would change. This would be day one. I would have all this stuff ready to go. I thought about it. Hard. I even thought about the title. It'd be the Articles of Revolution. Okay? Articles of Revolution. First thing, the very first thing that I would do. This is all signed into law. This is all executive order. This is all happening right as I get there. No one over the retirement age that has been established by the United States is eligible to serve. We have age limits on the presidency. We have age limits on everything for public office. Let's go ahead and put a cap on it now, too, for the age. If you are above the retirement age, you have 90 days to elect your successor, or your seat is automatically vacated and you are no longer recognized as a public servant. That's automatic. That's day one stuff. Okay, so let me say it again. No one over the retirement age is allowed to serve. Also, it's kind of like tied into this part. If you have served public office, you are not allowed to become a lobbyist afterward. That's automatic. That's written in the whole thing. Oh, also, public servants and immediate family are banned from participating in the free market while you are in public office. Yep. Yeah, don't get to play with the stock market. You cannot really own a business. You can't really play in that arena because right now you're serving the public and your interest is about serving the people in this public. So you should do your job, not look after your own interests. Public servants and immediate family cannot participate in free market. That's day one. Another part of day one. Businesses, any sort of business is not allowed to donate to any political campaign. Okay? Corporations, businesses, you're not allowed to participate in the campaign. You can't buy politicians anymore. Okay? So no business is allowed to donate to any political campaigns. That's anywhere. Federal, local, you can't do it. Then, this one's going to be fun. I can't wait for this one. We're kind of getting there right now with the way things are in America, but I would do this day one immediately. Any naturally grown drug is now legal. If you can grow it, it's legal. Plain and simple. If you got to do chemistry around it, it's not legal. Okay, I think that was pretty straightforward. If you can grow it, it's good. If you got to mess with it, it's bad. Next one. And actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, there can be exceptions to some of those chemistry-based drugs. They have some therapeutic and have proven to be, effective. That's the word, effective in some therapy. So there will be some exceptions made for therapeutic endeavors, shall we say. Next thing on my list, I immediately disband the Electoral College. Okay, I don't know why in today's day and age we still have the Electoral College outside of the only reason that it is a tool for politicians to manipulate votes. Like that's really the only reason why it exists now is so that people don't get to vote or their vote doesn't matter as much as somebody else's. So yeah, Electoral College, gone. See ya. Day one also is going to be universal health care. We are the only first world in the modern era to not provide free healthcare to its citizens. We pay enough in taxes to where this could be possible today. So yeah, universal healthcare, that's pretty self-explanatory. Next one, universal basic income. Yes, everyone gets a check because the economy has been broken for so long for a lot of people that we need people to get back on their feet and they need help. And the best way to do that, I believe, is to give them some money. Because people have proven that it's not about, they're not going to spend this money frivolously. They're going to use it in the right ways. Yeah, there might be some that abuse it, but okay. People abuse things all the time. Look at our government. So the universal basic income and I would also make the essential workers tax exempt. All essential workers are tax exempt federally. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this was good. This one's good. The minimum wage is directly tied into the productivity levels based on the U.S. Census, based on those measurements that everybody looks at. So minimum wage is directly tied into productivity. That would take into effect day one. So if the minimum wage needs to go to $35 an hour to match productivity levels, then that's what it's going to go to. If it happens to come down, then we can lower it. But productivity has never come down because of technology. So maybe if corporations were incentivized to maybe bring the productivity levels down, give people back some time, give people back some peace, give people back some life, like things don't have to be as productive as they are. Maybe people will start getting some help. So minimum wage is tied directly to productivity. And then this one's pointed. This one's for sure pointed. Part of police reform. It's clear that there needs to be some heavy-handed police reform, because people who are sworn to protect citizens do not protect citizens. There might be good cops, but good cops turn into bad cops because they're not reporting the bad cops. So police reform, I would make it so that any sort of like litigation or settlements or things where the police are found to be liable, the settlements would come out of their retirement funds, pension funds, directly from their retirement. Because if you're going to cost somebody their future, you should have to pay for it with yours. And I would also extend this to the judicial process system. So like judges and clerks and people around police, because getting away with this stuff isn't just on police. Like police investigating police and finding nothing wrong, judges pardoning police because they have qualified immunity. Qualified immunity isn't even a thing. It's just an accepted like construct that has no legal basis that plays a huge part in our legal system. Like it's not even a thing. So yeah, judges, clerks, anybody involved in the law enforcement industry, if you are found to be part of the problem, you will pay for it with your pension or with your money first. We're not going to have taxpayers paying double because not only did they get hurt and cost their future, now they got to have their tax dollars finance, the mistake that the cops made. So that's happening. The next thing, I would bring back I forget when it ended, and I had it here, but I forget. But I'm bringing back the runner-up for the elections becomes VP. It used to be that way, where whoever was president, whoever was running against that person would be the vice president. I'm bringing that back because I believe it would be beneficial for all of the nation if the two opposing sides were forced to work together no matter what, because perspective matters. Not everybody's going to agree. And at the end of the day, if you have both sides inside the White House, then not just the majority, but like 95 to 100% of society will be represented inside the White House. That needs to come back. So, runner-up is VP. Next thing, we're going to reform some public education. We got to, that just got to get burnt to the ground and rebuilt. Because this public education system is not working. Like, just top to bottom. It's not the teacher's fault. It's not the student's fault. It's the crappy system that it's in. So we got to change the system. So public education is getting like a complete remodel, overhaul. It's getting done. Next thing, everybody registers for the Selective Service since equality is a thing. Every person that turns 18 was required to register for Selective Service. Next thing, these last things are kind of, I don't know if I want to call them petty, but they're definitely not, shall we say, bigger issues. Some of these may or may not make the list, but day one would do these. The next thing is mandatory paternity tests for all children born in the United States. We got to have dads taking care of their kids, and we got to have the right dad taking care of their kids. So paternity tests made mandatory for all children because I'm ratifying abortion being legal. There would be like that's my body, my choice, right? That's universal now. All of that's going together. So mandatory paternity testing and abortion is legal. Then the last thing that I would do, and this was kind of like a little tag in, just because I was thinking about the kids, for child crimes, if you're found to be someone who abuses children in any sort of capacity or commits crimes against children in any sort of capacity, the death penalty is now an option for your crimes. I do not believe that children should be taken advantage of. Their innocence is something that should be protected. And if you are an adult who takes advantage of a child, the death penalty will be an option for settling your crimes. That's what I would do as POTUS, day one. Let me know what you guys think about any of this. Let me know if you guys think I'm crazy, if these ideas that we talked about today are bananas or don't make any sense, or if you want to vote for me as president. Someone's got to do it, and I'd rather have it be me than a dead man or a criminal. So let's just let me know. All right, let me know, guys. Appreciate you guys. We do have some goals being set for subscribers. I'm trying to get to 25 by the end of the year. I'm doing my best. I'm again, guys, I'm just an average Joe out here trying to do something, make something, put something out for you guys that I believe matters, living my passion, living my truth, and really trying to connect the community out here that is like mine. So let me know what you guys think. As always, thank you for your participation. Appreciate it so much. And we will see you on the flip. See ya.